Now, to make sure that you can craft your Jeeves as soon as Phase 3 launches, there's a few things you're going to need to do. If you're not sure what Jeeves is, it's for engineers and it grants you bank access to very skilled engineers and perform mundane tasks such as buying, selling, and repairing for anyone with a 1-hour cooldown. So needless to say, having access to your bank on the go without having to do those Argent tournament dailies is a really good thing. Now, to be able to get this, you're going to need a few different recipes first of all, so let's focus on where we get those, with one of them being slightly more irritating than the others. First of all, for the RepairBot 74A, you're going to have to go to Blackrock Depths. Now, there's a few ways you can do this depending on whether you have the Diabrew remote or you've got a friend that's got the Diabrew remote, because quick access to BRD using this can be extremely useful. If you do have it, when you use it, it's going to send you into the Grim Guzzler, and this is going to cut down a little bit on travel time of what I'm going to suggest you do next. All you need to do is turn around and go the opposite way to if you was going to go forward in the instance. So when you come out of where you actually spawn in, turn right, go past these 2 packs of Fireguard destroyers, come through the room and take the first right to where the boss is with the golems. Then you'll see the recipe on the floor, you just click on it and it will teach you how to make the recipe. Now, to craft these, you're going to need fused wiring. There's several places you can get fused wiring. You can even go to Gnomeregon and get fused wiring, but you can actually craft these as well. So if you don't have the Diabrew remote, I would recommend doing this, and even if you do have the Diabrew remote, I'd still probably recommend doing this. It's quite a long way to go, but if you head over to Winterspring, you can get 2 recipes. You can get a recipe for the C4EM charges, and you can get a recipe for the fused wiring. Now, depending on the price of fused wiring on your server, getting the recipe to be able to craft it yourself is going to be useful, and picking up the C4EM charges means you're not going to need the Diabrew remote. You're going to make yourself 2 C4EM charges, you're going to head into BRD, and you're going to try and pull as little trash as possible, preferably none unless you're a noob like me and body pulls. You're then going to run straight through the big area called Detention Block, and you're going to take your first left. When you get round this corner, there's going to be a door on your right hand side. This is where the first C4EM charge is going to come in handy. So all you need to do is just click the C4EM charge in your bag and then click on the door. It takes a few seconds and it's going to blast it open. Next, you're thinking you probably need the Shadowforge key to undo the Shadowforge lock. No, you don't. You'll also be able to use a C4EM charge on this as well. We are using powerful C4EM charges. Others might work, but I just use these just to be on the safe side, because it's actually the first time even I've done it using C4EM charges, so I wanted to just make sure I went in one trip and used the biggest ones possible. I mean, actually, there are bigger ones possible from TBC, but these are the biggest ones possible in original vanilla. I'll fast forward through all this because you're now basically just going to follow the corridor round, keep going now through the door that would have been locked if we didn't use our powerful C4EM charges. Keep following the corridor round, again, just avoiding as much trash as possible. And then when you actually get into the main open room, you immediately want to go right down the ramp, and the boss is going to be directly in front of you. Exactly the same boss that we're looking for, which is the Golem Lord. Again, we're then just going to click on the recipe on the floor and learn how to make the 74As. Taking those C4EM charges just makes this so much quicker than actually worrying about getting the Shadowforge key. If you've got the Shadowforge key already, then obviously you don't need the C4EM charges, but I'd still recommend going over and getting the fused wire and recipe anyway. It is worth mentioning though, if you are going all the way to Winterspring not for the C4EM charges and it's only the fused wiring, you can actually get the fused wiring from a vendor in Shatraff as well, just down in the lower city on the far southeast of the map. Might just save you a little bit of time. Next up, the other recipe we're going to need is the RepairBot 110Gs. So if you did just head over to Shatraff to go and get your fused wiring recipe, you might as well now head over to Blade's Edge Mountains. More specifically, we're heading over to Ogrelar. Ogrelar? It doesn't take very long for this recipe to drop. In fact, I think I got it within 4 or 5 kills, but you're wanting to kill the Ganarg analyzers. Once you've killed them, just loot them, and you'll see, there you go, schematic filled RepairBot 110G. Now we've got those bits done, we're actually moving into Wrath of the Lich King content. So you're going to want to go to Terrace of the Makers. Now there's 2 things you're going to want here. One's particularly easy to get, and one can be a bit of a pain. The main one we want here is the actual Jeeves recipe itself. So you're going to want to go to Terrace of the Makers and kill these Librarian Guardians and then break them down via engineering, and you're wanting to get the Jeeves recipe. There is other places you can get this. You can even get the Jeeves recipe inside Ulduar, But if you haven't actually got it, this is a chill place to farm, and some of the mats that you're going to get from these, you're going to need later anyway. On the map, it's just on the northern side of Gromarsh Crash Site. The first thing you're going to get pretty much killing the first mob is going to be a quest that you're going to need, which is Scrap E Access Card. This is to make the Scrapbot construction kits from Wrath of the Lich King content, which we're going to need 20 of. Just accept the quest, go up the stairs into the main building, which is the Inventor's Library, and then you're going to hand the quest in to Scrap E. To be able to hand this quest in, though, you are going to need 4 handful of cobalt bolts and 5 overcharged capacitors. Now, if you've got these on an alt like I have, you can just relog and send them over. If you haven't got them and you don't want to spend any gold, you're actually going to get these materials by breaking these mobs down when you're grinding on them anyway. However, they are fairly cheap to craft, and you could even sell some on and make a little bit of profit, but get yourself 5 overcharged capacitors and 4 handful of cobalt bolts in whatever way you need to. Get them on the character you're doing the quest on and simply talk to Scrap E again, and he's then going to give you another quest where you're going to have to just go to the terminal that's behind you. This is where you'll then learn the recipe. And now it's just a matter of crafting everything that you're going to need. So first off, you're going to need 2 RepairBot 74As. Now, thanks to the fact that you went and got the recipe from Winterspring for fused wiring, you can craft these with just some copper bars that you'll turn into delicate copper wire and a couple of Essence of Fire each. It's worth noting though, when I say each, when you craft 1, you're actually going to get 5. So you only need to do 1 craft of this for your RepairBot 74As. Essence of Fire are dirt cheap on the server I'm playing on. If we was to look at the fused wiring, however, it's over 3 gold 50 just for 1. So actually, you can even make a tidy bit of profit here. Now for the delicate copper wire, this is actually made by dual crafting, so if you're engineering dual crafting, this isn't going to be a problem. But if like me, you're tailoring, you might need to make the delicate copper wire on an alt. We're only talking small amounts of silver I'm saving here, so I'm just taking the lazy route anyway and just buying them. So craft these 2 and you're 1 step closer to getting your Jeeves. Now once these are crafted, we now need to move on to making the Field RepairBot 110Gs, and we need 10 of those. Now this is only 2 crafts because each craft actually makes 5. Now if you've got a miner, going around and actually mining the stuff is going to make this a hell of a lot cheaper. But if we go to the auction house and we have a look, we're going to need 16 adamantite bars, so we'll just go ahead and buy 16 of these quickly. We're going to need a handful of fell iron bolts, which always check, see if the fell iron's cheaper than the bolts, because you'll be able to make fell iron bolts with just fell iron bars. So these are 468 each, whereas if we was to look at the fell iron bars, we're going to be able to craft them and actually make some profit if we want to make some extra, which is always nice because most people will buy the finished product than buying the material and crafting it themselves just because we're pretty lazy. And we're also going to need 2 corium power cores. These are a lot more expensive because even if you look at how to craft them, they need corium bars and primal fires. So once again, it actually does work out cheaper to buy the materials, and then you could potentially sell these as well. Now, while all the bits are crafting for the 110G repair bots, we can move on to the Scrapbot construction kits. Now, these come from where we done the quest earlier to actually be able to make the Scrapbot construction kits from when we was in Storm Peaks. Now, these make 5 each time. It's 10 Saronite bars for 5, and we need 20 in total. So we need 40 Saronite bars, and then we're done with all the repair bots. What you're also going to need is 8 Titan Steel bars, which they are going to be quite an expensive part to all of this, but just pick them up off the auction house. And you're also going to need 30 handful of cobalt bolts. Now, if you was actually farming for quite a while to get your Jeeves recipe in Storm Peaks, odds are you probably farmed 30 of these without even needing to buy them off the auction house or go mining and make them yourself, or whatever way round you want to do it. If you was very lucky and you got Jeeves quite quickly and you didn't actually farm for very long to actually get the recipe, then you might not have enough and you need to buy some cobalt bars to obviously craft the bolts, or just buy the bolts off the auction house. But either way, get yourself 30 of those. So if you followed all that, you should be ready. I do need to actually now go and just finish the last 8 points in engineering on this particular character, but that won't take very long. So we've got our 2 Field RepairBot 74As. We've also got our 10 RepairBot 110Gs. We need 20 construction kits, the Scrapbot construction kits, which we've got. We've got our 8 Titan Steel bars, and we've got 40 of the bolts, and we only actually need 30 of them, so we're all good. Finally, we need 2 King's Ambers. Now, there's a couple of ways you can prepare to get these now. So the second you log in, as soon as you log in, the first thing you can do is buy the 2 King's Ambers and then craft your Jeeves. Now, assuming there's no changes to what there was back in the day, you'll be able to get these gems from either prospecting titanium, alchemy transmutes, purchase them with honor, or purchase them with emblems of heroism. So with the amount of raiding we do, by far the easiest way is just to make sure you got 40 emblems of heroism, because each King's Amber will cost 20 each, and just buy 2 of these instantly when Phase 3 goes live. If you do a lot of PvP, or you just want to jump in a couple of winter grasps, because that's all it's going to take between now and Phase 3 launching, For 10,000 honour, you can get 1 King's Amber. So a couple of Winter Grasps, do the quests, get 20k honour, leave it sat there. As soon as it launches, bang, go to the vendor either in Orgrimmar or Stormwind, whichever, whether you're Horde or Alliance, buy your 2 King's Amber, make your Jeeves. Back in original Wrath of the Lich King, these gems did go live with honour and emblems and transmutes and prospecting titanium ore when Shrine of the Crusader came out, so I see no reason for it to change now. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. That's how you get Jeeves. Quite an in-depth guide, I would say, for something that seems quite basic, but hopefully you picked up a tip or two here. Like and subscribe. Let's have a nice push to 80,000 subscribers. I can't believe we're getting that close, so thank you to every one of you that pressed that button. See you on the next one.